Hello and welcome to this EIFL webinar with Ina Smith, Planning Manager from the Academy of Science of South Africa on journal statistics. Ina has conducted an excellent webinar for Khulisa Journals, a platform that she manages for South Africa, and we invited Ina to repeat it to wider audience because that was extremely useful, and it mentions open journal systems, and that's the reason why we present this webinar in the Open Journal Systems webinar series. But even if you use another journal management system, it would still be useful for you. And welcome, Ina. Thanks again for agreeing to do this rerun, and over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Irina and Melika, and thanks for the introduction, Irina. I see a few familiar names on the attendee list, and I hope it's not a repeat for some of you. But if it helps you, I have learned a bit more in the meantime, and I continue learning. So every time I present on this, I add something small or change something that can be done easier. The reason why I thought to initially present our 18 Khulisa journals on how to collect statistics is so that they can go to their editorial boards, to their funders, and demonstrate that the journal and the articles have value. There is a return on investment of resources, human resources, financial resources, etc. And after all, why do we do research and publish research? Because we want to bring about change and we want to have a platform where we can communicate possible solutions to local problems. Okay. So sometimes reference is made to bibliometrics, and the definition I have of it is it's the use of counts and statistics, mainly of publications and dissertations, to measure and compare patterns of research output and influence. For example, how often articles are published, cited, or co-authored. We're not going to delve that deep into metrics, but I will share a few examples of what you can do to collect important message, which might be important for funders and for your editorial board to come up with solutions. The statistics or metrics help us to transform raw data into meaningful insights that provide evidence for decision making, accountability, and strategic growth. So when an editor reports to a journal's editorial board, the goal is to provide a clear overview of a journal's performance, health, and direction. I doubt whether editorial boards want too much detail. It depends from journal to journal, of course. But one of my editors the other day said all she had was 10 minutes to report back on the journal to the editorial board, and they did not even expect a printed report or a presentation. They just wanted her to speak off the top of her head about how the journal is performing, but it might differ from journal to journal. Actual reports usually combine quantitative data or statistics with qualitative insights, addressing editorial issues, challenges, and opportunities. So there's two different levels between which I differentiate. You can monitor the journal level, the journal performance, or article level performance. In terms of journals, we would typically look at the volume of the journal, the growth, articles per year, special issues, a backlog size, selectivity and quality, acceptance rate, desk reject rate, review decline rate, editorial turnaround. We would look at impact or visibility, the citations overall, not just an article level, usage of articles published in the journal, compliance and integrity, diversity and reach, and then financials, APCs, and the rest. My interest is more in article level metrics on micro level. In other words, how does an individual article perform? How frequently is it cited, read, downloaded, or whatever you want to measure? And article level statistics are also important for individual authors because they can use it as part of their performance evaluation. For example, it might help if they say, yes, they've published in a high impact factor journal, but if their article in that high impact factor journal has only been cited once, while the top article in that specific journal issue has been cited 5,000 times, what does it say about your article within the bigger journal? So article level stats far more important for me. I'm going to share with you how to measure the views and the downloads of an individual article. What tools are useful to measure engagement, citations, how findable the articles are through Google search, timelines, how soon after being submitted was the manuscript published, integrity, were there any corrections, retractions, etc., and is an open license assigned to the article, of the org IDs rules complete? Is there data supporting this manuscript available somewhere and linked to the manuscript? So reporting to the editorial board usually happens during editorial board meetings or annual general meetings of a society or journal owner. It can also be on request of a funder or when there's a call for funding proposals, or for yourself as editor, or for your journal users, or when you apply to be included in a specific index. It might be of interest for the index to see how much impact individual articles or the journal has. It can be compiled annually, quarterly, mid-year, or on an ad hoc basis, but I think at least once a year. It's also nice if you can represent the statistics or data in a dashboard. There are different tools available to do this. There's Superset, an open source system which can retrieve the different statistics from different systems and then display it visually. And this is what it looks like. Superset looks like. So it's a Google Analytics lookalike, but with your own custom statistics. Then there's also Looker Studio from Google, and you can generate your own reports, also looking similar to what I've just said with regards to Superset. So please play and experiment. I'm very much pro transparency in reporting, in making the stats and your report available on your journal website, so that users can do their own checks, and it's a form of trustedness that you convey. It's a form of transparency. It's a way to demonstrate that you do not hide anything from the users. Can even be transparent in terms of your finances, the IPCs, etc. So in OJS, you can upload it under workflow, publish it library, and make it a public file. Reporting and statistics are central to accountability, governance, integrity, trust in your journal. It's not a requirement from indexes. It's something you decide whether you want to do or not. A recommendation that when you work with OJS is to not sidestep the system if you want accurate metrics. And metadata is key. And if there's time, I will also refer to metadata hygiene towards the end of the session. I also want to emphasize that publishing open access, it means you embrace the principles of openness, the open philosophy, open source with its challenges, open everything. And in the end, these different open systems within this open infrastructure, I've only added a few, there are many more. They communicate with one another, they interact with one another, they are interoperable. So, open infrastructure refers to the shared community governed plumbing that makes research communication work and that anyone can use, improve, and trust without needing a single vendor's permission. In an open infrastructure ecosystem, data hygiene is not just housekeeping. It's the foundation for visibility, trust, equity, and sustainability of scholarly journals. So, metadata is now, quality metadata has become so important, more than ever before. When reporting on statistics and data, here's a few best practices. Visualize your data where possible using graphs and charts. And make your data sets, the raw data sets, as well as the processed data, cleaned data sets available. For example, on your journal's Google Mail G Drive or within your OJS library. Provide context and always explain what it means for your journal's health and reputation when reporting. So interpret that data. Formulate recommendations to improve your journal. In other words, come up with data-driven decisions or strategies. Keep your report focused and include only relevant info without unnecessary detail. Your editorial board does not have the time to go through detail. Keep the report engaging and forward-looking, and no report will need to look the same, but at least keep it consistent for your journal. So in your report, have some branding for the journal, executive summary for the editorial board, table of contents, include abbreviations, references, appendixes with details apart from the body of the report. So let's now get down to business. I've listed and identified a few statistic sources from where we can extract statistics or data to demonstrate the impact of individual articles specifically. For views and downloads, I recommend that we stick with PKP OJS and the Title Master Report specifically. And that's something else I want to mention. If you use PKP OJS for the views and downloads for this quarter, repeat it for all the future quarters. Don't 1 quarter or 1 year use PKP OJS and the next you use Crossref. So my recommendation is PKP OJS for views and downloads. And when you report, acknowledge your source, where you got the data from. I recommend OpenAlex for citations. So you simply go to OpenAlex and search for your journal title. For Crossref, although it can also measure citations, etc., I recommend Crossref to measure your metadata health. So you would add or replace the 6689, which is the ASAF member number, Crossref member with your member number, and then search for the journal title. Peer review, should you want to report on that or activity, go to a plugin or a specific plugin and then choose review report. You will not be asked to enter a specific date. It will just give you the report, the all-time review report, and there's no errors in that report. The same with the Title Master report for OJS. So these are the only two OJS reports I recommend you use. If you use a plagiarism system, you might want to report how many manuscripts were screened, how many were rejected based on the percentage of plagiarism detected, and more. Then I recommend Altmetric for attention, Google Analytics for site discovery. In other words, how visible is your site for robots and search engines. And then Google Search Console, the quality of your metadata. In other words, how easily do those bots and engines discover your journal based on the quality of the metadata. And then there's also dimensions, which someone mentioned last time, which can help you, the stats on, which can provide an article list, authors, sorry for the double A, DOI, year published, citation counts. So here you can already see a duplication. So I would skip dimensions and just stick with OpenAlex, but I've added it for the sake of being complete. I would also like, in addition to the tools mentioned, highly recommend your journal having a Gmail dedicated to measuring some of the statistics, but also to set up a Google alert for your journal. So in this case, I've used my journal's Gmail account or the South African Journal of Animal Sciences Gmail account, and I've gone to alerts.google.com and I typed in South African Journal of Animal Science. So going forward, Google Alerts will always email me anytime when my journal title is being mentioned in the media, as is the case in this example, where reference was made to this article in Farmers Weekly, and keep track of that. I had the question in the past, why don't we have one single standard system that can measure everything all at once? There's different reasons for that. Each system has a different owner, and our statistics for our journals sit in many places. Some of our journals, even though open access, might be indexed in Scopus, who measures certain things, Web of Science, who measures different things in a different way, Craftsref, OpenAlex, PubMed, Google Analytics. Each has its own owner with its own rules. So none of them measure the same thing. Each one includes different journals, regions, and outputs. None covers everything. And I've heard many times that Web of Science do not favor journals from the global south. Then different systems or different platforms have different meanings for a view or a download or a citation, and they measure it differently in each system. And different IDs are allocated to articles according to the systems. So there's no single steward at this stage with regard to journal statistics. Laws, licenses, and a lack of global governance stop anyone from merging all of the different systems all into one single system. And so I hope that clarifies that question, is should you have had such a question. And of course, it depends on your journal's discipline and focus and scope. You might also be indexed by indexes specializing in specific fields. And in South Africa, we have, for example, journals duplicated on Sabini. The journals are also indexed by Cielo South Africa. Each of these systems create another set of statistics, which makes it more complex. I'm going to assume that all of you have prior Excel knowledge. You know how to manipulate data, and you know how to do AutoSum and to do different calculations. So I'm not going to go into detail. You need to know how to sort data, generate charts and graphs, etc., and how to convert files from JSON or CSV or TSV to XLSX so that you can convert it to charts and graphs, and in the end to a dashboard where you can represent it in summary. Usually you would go to data, get data from file, from text CSV or from JSON, and there's a shortcut from text CSV. For TSV, I use a separate tool which I will share with you now. So once you've collected all the data for a certain period, the views and downloads, you can visualize it as a single visual page, as a dashboard that brings together key indicators, charts, and tables so you can monitor performance at a glance and drill it into details if needed. In scholarly publishing, a dashboard might show article output, citations, usage, and submission timelines updated from defined data sources so editors can track trends and make decisions quickly. Here's some examples. Plus example, which aggregates journal level stats and promotes article level metrics. The dashboard combines external citation data, internal workflow stats, and attention data on one page. So you can see different journals, each with their number of citations, average time to first decision to publication, acceptance rate, and number of publications. So if you have a huge suite of journals that you publish, maybe this is something you can consider. I could, for example, consider it for Khulisa journals. Then there's the Cielo Analytics dashboard. It's an interactive public dashboard for journals. In the Cielo network, the bibliometrics, access or usage data, a languages used, affiliation in countries, and you can select a collection or a specific journal. It's not something I've used or include as one of the options for reporting at this stage, but you're welcome to include it. And then there's the Royal Society dashboard. They publish a comparative dashboard showing per journal citations, download, usage, and Altmetric scores, explicitly contrasting open access versus subscription articles. So in table format and per year as well. I've spoken about the reporting. This editorial was published in the most recent South African Journal of Animal Science, a bibliometric insights into the South African Journal of Animal Science, trends and contributions up to now. So it's one way to report on the impact of your journal, or you can go all out and go in detail. And I've compiled a journal report with many pages for this specific journal, but as the journal improves, I think the report will become smaller and smaller. So this is just an extract from the report. I've manually created this dashboard with PowerPoint. So I've downloaded the number of citations on OpenAlex for the duration for all time. Indicated what percentage of international author collaboration there is. There's also citations linked to that one, and there's the number of items on OpenAlex, and yes, the views and downloads according to OJS for the South African Journal of Animal Science, while being on open journal systems. They only started hosting with Khulisa journals, I think August, September, around there. So not bad for a very new journal on OJS. Because OJS will only measure while they are OJS. It won't integrate stats from other systems before our OJS, Khulisa OJS. So let's look at how to go about to extract the views and downloads from PKP OJS. You go to stats, counter R5, title master report, and here's a brief video. Before I play the video, I just want to alert you to the fact that your plugins need to be activated to measure your statistics. And it will also depend from journal to journal. Some we subscribe to, others are built into OJS and a part of OJS plugins. And reporting plugins are activated by default, which is nice. I just want to acknowledge we are currently on OJS 3.4.0.9, but we will be migrating to OJS 3.5. I'm not sure what the status will be in terms of bugs when it comes to statistics, but there are one or two bugs on OJS, on the current OJS with regards to the statistics. So usually you would go to articles and there you would find a download report, which will download this exact data for you. But what might happen under other, you might have EPUB files, XML files, and OJS does not differentiate between those type of files. Just to point that out. But this is how it works when you, let me just pause it for a second, let me warn you. This is the little video I've created for you to generate stats. So yes, articles, you can specify the period you want to generate stats for and download. Downloads as a CSV. So in Excel, you'll have to convert it from a CSV. There's another option which I've used here, from data text to columns, because it's a single column and it's a simple data set. It's not a very complex data set. And this is my data set from 14 October to 2024 to 13 October 2025. And now you can add it use AutoSum to add it and do some calculations, etc. and sort it, whatever. But let's get to counter reports. Counter stands for Counting Online Usage of Network Electronic Resources. It's an international standard that tells publishers, libraries, and platforms how to measure and report usage statistics, specifically views, downloads, investigations, in a consistent, trustworthy way. So counter reports are the closest to which we would can get to a standard at this stage. Without counter, every platform could count views or downloads differently, making it impossible to compare numbers across publishers or systems. And there's 6 counter or 5 reports which you can generate through OJS, but we will use the title master report for the views and downloads and to report on those. I'm not going to go through each of these, but I've explained what each report is, what you will get, and when you will use it. Let's get to this title master report we are interested in. It's a full report at the journal title level. It provides detailed statistics about each journal title, all metrics, all possible breakdowns, usage types, access type, etc. And you would use it when you drill down into how each journal is being used. So in this case, the file will be downloaded as tab separated, a TSV file. And then you'll have to convert it to XLSX in Excel. I did not have much success with Excel. I might be doing something wrong, but I use this tool, Data Converter, convert TSV to XLSX. I upload my TSV file and it returns an XLSX file. But there might be other tools as well. Please don't just think this is the only one. Okay, some more counter files. So yes, the TR1 for individual journals, and my recommendation. In this video, we're gonna have a look at how to generate it. So you go to counter R file and then to title master report, click on edit, specify the start date. The earliest date is the 1st of March. And you can complete any other fields, download, and download TSV. And this is when I went to the other tool, Data Converter IO. I've uploaded the CSV file. And downloaded to Excel, where I opened it. And there's what I wanted from July to October. This is the South African Journal of Animal Science. Yeah, the total number of views, unique views, downloads, unique downloads, etc. And then, what did I do here? Sorry. Okay, sorry, this one is a repeat. So it downloaded the CSV for me, and I opened it in CSV to view the downloads and the views. Then Open Alex is the second one. This is where I would see how many citations individual articles have received. So I simply go to Open Alex or search journal title. I can do an API call, which stands for Application Programming Interface, OJS, Crossref, Open Alex, applications. And the programming part is the code and instructions that tell the software what to do. The interface is the bridge that allows two different systems to talk to one another. So an API is the set of rules and tools that let applications exchange information or services. For example, I can use a Crossref API to register my DOIs automatically. OpenAlex provides an API so you can query the database for journal or article metadata. In everyday words, an API is like a menu in a restaurant. It tells you what's available and how to order it. The kitchen or software does the work and you get the result, the meal or the response. So an API call is a message sent to an API endpoint, a URL, and it asks for data or tells the system to do something. The system processes the request and sends back a response, often in JSON or XML. For example, this is what an API would look like if I make an API call to OpenAlex. There it is, API, OpenAlex org. I want data on all the works, and it must be filtered according to location source for a specific journal. There's the journal's ISSN, journal articles, 200 at a the maximum 200 pages, DOIs, titles, publication years, cited by count must be included, and works reference. That call tells OpenAlex's API, give me all journal articles with this ISSN and all those details. And the API then responds with metadata about those articles in JSON, in XML, or in CSV. OpenAlex is really something that not many people currently is aware of. It's a free open database of scholarly works used by researchers, libraries, and platforms worldwide. Inclusion makes a journal's articles more discoverable. You don't need to worry to apply to be included in OpenAlex. OpenAlex gets its data from Crossref. So if you make use of Crossref, DOIs, probably also from Dataset. Sorry, I haven't checked. But if your metadata is registered with DOI, a DOI system, then OpenAlex will find it. Many open science tools, repositories, and analytic systems use OpenAlex data. Indexing helps connect a journal's content with citation networks, researcher profiles, and institutional dashboards. And OpenAlex provides citation counts, usage of DOIs, and linkages to other works, which help journals and authors understand reach and influence. Unlike proprietary databases, OpenAlex is openly accessible, lowering barriers for journals, especially from the global south, to be visible in global scholarly communication. At ASAP, we don't have access to Scopus or Web of Science data, so we have to rely on tools such as these. And I think it's a case for many lower and middle income countries like South Africa. Being indexed in OpenAlex increases a journal's global visibility, connects its articles to a wider research ecosystem, and ensures that its impact can be openly tracked and recognized. It's it's Google Scholar on steroids for me. So this is just a demo of how to go about to get data for all works in a specific journal. And I think I've used the South African Journal of Science in this case. So let me play this short video for you. Okay, type in the journal title, or I think animal science possibility. So type in the journal title. Oops, South African Journal of Animal Science until it finds it. And then you select it from the drop down. So there it is, and go to that entry with your mouse and click on their entry. Everywhere where you see 3 dots or a download button, it means you can download or export the data on that level. It depends on what you are looking for, which topics are covered by this journal, for example. But I'm gonna, in this example, I've downloaded all data because I'm interested in the citations, and it will export in a CSV file. Okay, I'm not gonna wait for it to complete because it's quite long, but it will go to my downloads, and then in the next one, oh no, again, this is what I would do. I will open Excel. Once it has downloaded the CSV, I will open Excel and select the file and import. And there you go. Okay, so I open Excel, I import a file, and then ask it to convert it to a table for me. And there we go. There's OpenAlex ID, the DOI number, the title, etc. So just follow that headings, the headings there. I will now stop at the cited by count. And here you can see which article has been cited how many times. And you can manipulate your data from here. Okay, so that was citations. Crossref, as I've said, I would use to measure the metadata health. You would go to your Crossref ID and search for journal title. With regards to stats from Crossref, you can get many stats from Crossref. It's a global non-profit organization that provides DOIs and metadata services for scholarly content. It assigns persistent DOIs, so journal articles, books, data sets, and other research outputs can always be found. It maintains the metadata network that links publications, authors, funders, institutions, and citations, and underpins global research infrastructure. It's the backbone of this global infrastructure within which we operate, and ensures discoverability, interoperability, and trust in scholarly communication. This is what the report for ASAP looks like, the metadata report. So you can see we are low in many areas, and we have lots of improvements to do. But let me play you this little video. So this is on the member level. We have in total that many registered records from our repository, from the different Khulisa journals. If you want a specific journal within ASAP's collection, you need to enter the journal title correctly. And here you can see Sages performs relatively well in terms of metadata health. Okay, so that was the metadata health report. As I said, Crossref is the backbone spine that makes research easy to find link and so. You might hear reference to canonical metadata. It refers to the official authoritative version of metadata for a research object. And that is when a journal deposits an article's metadata with Crossref, that becomes the canonical metadata tied to its DOIs. So other systems within this global open infrastructure will pull or sync from this canonical record to ensure consistency. In short, canonical metadata is the trusted standardized record that defines how a research output is described, cited, and connected across the open global scholarly infrastructure. There's some other reports that you can pull from Crossref. If you go, that's the one I've shared with you now, the participation report. Then there's conflict reports, DOI error reports, and you can also do API calls. The conflict reports and the DOI error reports might be sent to you via email, but you can also inquire with Crossref. Yes, and this is just the participation report which I've shared with you. The fourth type of statistics one can pull from OJS is the peer review or peer review activity. And for that, you go in your dashboard in OJS, the management, settings, website, plugins, and the review report. And once again, just a brief video to show you where to find it. So you go to your journal dashboard. And then click on plugins. And you search for review report. And click on reports, and it will download all review activity. You won't be asked for a date range or anything. You download it in CSV or yes, and then you can open it in Excel again. Okay, and then the fifth type of statistics you can report on, but this is optional because this is subscription data. Through Crossref, we have access to authenticate. So if you also subscribe to Crossref, you might also have access to authenticate and to share plagiarism screening counts. And this is just a screenshot from one folder. Authenticate recommends that you store your reports for articles according to year. So have a separate folder for each year and not just one blank folder. But the key performance indicators which editorial boards might be interested in would be typically the percentage of submissions screened, average similarity, percentage above threshold, desk rejections due to plagiarism, etc. And since we have the older version of Authenticate, we're still on Authenticate 1.0. I could not export the data. I can do it on individual article level, which is a lot of work, but not as a batch. But Authenticate 2.0 is the most recent one. And if your metadata is up to date and all your DOI is resolved and there's no errors, you can apply for access to Authenticate 2.0, which also apparently allows for AI detection, although I don't think it's possible to keep up with AI. Anyways, should you have access to the 2.0 version, there's many Authenticate videos, but you can see some statistics there underneath, and also, of course, capture manual statistics when you capture plagiarism statistics. Another another form of statistics you can collect are alternative metrics. In other words, not necessarily citations, but mentions, or what kind of attention did individual articles receive from different platforms. So up to a certain extent, some of these tools are freely available, but yeah, it's also limited. So the four top tools we can use through Khulisa journals. We subscribe to Altmetric. So the data is available for free article by article. So not as I cannot export all 5,000 articles of metric data, unfortunately. But there is a bookmarklet which you can download on your browser bar to and click on track. Then track API, I think, I'll share with you now. Then it will tell you the Altmetric score for that journal on that page, which is currently open. They also have a limited API call you can do, and they can do lookups. Plum X Metrics is an Elsevier Scopus product. They track social media, Mendeley readers, citations, patents, clinical guidelines. It's free via the Scopus abstract pages if your institution has access, which we don't. And PlumX widgets can also be added to OJS if a publisher has a license. Crossref can provide data on tweets, Wikimedia mentions, Reddit news blogs, stack cross to Crossref links, which is of course available free of charge if you're a Crossref member. And this is the API call you can typically do for a journal, but only on article level. This call is only on article level. Then OpenAlex, which is free, can be used to track mentions, Wikipedia links, social media activity via which they access through Crossref event data and, of course, citations. This is an example journal which has implemented both Altmetrics and PlumX. So here you can see this article this fall have received 7 citations. Altmetrics gives it a score of 0, but then PlumX, according to PlumX, it's been included in 4 citation indexes, and it captured 28 readers, or I'm interpreting it not correctly, but that's what it says here. Make sure your plugins have been activated. So these were Altmetrics badges plugin, which was selected for this journal, and also the Plum Analytics artifact widget. But it's, like I said, it's a subscription-based platform. Then Google Analytics, if you have a Gmail registered for your journal, you can set up Google Analytics to understand how your site is discovered and who uses your journal website in general, not only on article level, but website level. So you simply go to analytics.google.com once logged in, and this is typically what you would get. I've asked for demographic details and for all time since the journal started, and according to my statistics, I can decide which to use and which to export. China has been the top user for the past month. October, for the past 2 months, from October 1 to November 2026. And yes, it's not difficult to use. You can export the data, you can capture the stats, incorporate it into your dashboard. Then there's Google Search Console. For this, you simply go to Google Search Console. You just Google Search Console, and this will tell me how many times, how many clicks were received, how many impressions were received. How's my website performing, and has it been performing for the past 3 months? So you can change it here as well. This is where you have to register your sitemap and make sure that your sitemap is up to date, because based on your sitemap, search engines will be able to find your articles and more. I've also checked the health of individual uh, pages, and according to this journal's report on Google Search Console, 553 pages are indexed, but there are 677 pages not indexed, which made me worry. But the reasons they provided are that there's a duplicate without user selected canonical, so that's something we will have to explore. 268 pages. Not found pages, 143. Sub 404 landings, 7 page with redirect, 5 blocked due to unauthorized request, 1 crawled but currently not indexed, 253, and no server errors. So this crawled but not indexed are of concern for me, and then duplicate without user selected canonical. So I'll have to go to this journal and try to understand how we can resolve those issues. Then the last one I want to mention, dimensions can retrieve an article list, authors, doors, years, citation counts, open access indicator, journal metrics, in other words, citations and page index. But what was interesting for me was that it can also indicate the sustainable development goals addressed by that by individual articles. So I've simply searched for South African Journal of Science, and it returned 2,269 items, research categories. It gave an overview of citations, researchers, and then you can save or export to Excel if interested in this one. Let me check the time. Oh, it's almost an hour down, so I'm not going to have time for data hygiene. But this is really about how data hygiene matters and why it's important. And yes, basically that's it. I just want to know if there's any questions, maybe from your side. It would be great. Thanks, Arina and Malika, for posting those links and complimenting. And oof, let me see. Are there any questions, Arina? I know from
Excellent presentation. Mark Pre asked one question, and it's available in the Q&A, and I will read it to you. In
okay.
European Union, we got some general data protection regulation concerns with Google Analytics as far as AP. That's e-personal data is usually stored by Google Analytics. You can set it up properly. In their service, in the university, they decided to go with plausible, which is another option, and Matomo is also a nice option. So analytics data is stored in our servers. Do you have a position about that?
No, absolutely. You have to find ways, and I agree. Our country is flexible. We have a POPIA Act also protecting personal data, and on our Khulisa Journals platform, we have quite extensive policy and guidelines or explanation on how personal data is protected. But your country takes it a bit further, it seems. Manamoto, is it Manamoto, to pronounce it correctly? There's definitely a plugin for that. in OJS. And I would certainly like to explore it. I've not tested it yet. Plausible, that's nice. Plausible, I don't know plausible, but Matomo is as definitely has a plugin in OJS. So I will certainly try it out at one stage. Thank you so much, Mark, for that.
Thanks a
As
lot.
long as one manages to retrieve the data one is allowed to retrieve and what the editorial board asks for, Thunder or whatever, it's perfectly fine to use any tool.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Teddy Chima also asked the question, do all journals have one platform to see all the desk rejected papers?
In I think in OJS,
Yes.
no. And OJS, no. You can only see the journal for which you are the journal manager and or editor. So you don't have access to the data of the other journals. I have access because, and I think Nadia has access, but yeah, she has access, but that's on administrative level to manage the platform. But individual data journals can't see others' data or rejection rates or whatever unless you publish it publicly on your about page for the journal.
Thank you. There is also a question from Kayode Sunday Chundada. How do you address copyright infringement from data analytics? I'm not sure if there are any copyright infringements. Maybe you could add a little bit what you have in mind. I haven't encountered any copyright infringements in my experience of using data analytics, but I don't know, maybe Ina has different experience.
No, no complaints so far. Of course, when you register, for example, with Gmail, account with Gmail and use Google services, you agree to certain terms and conditions which you have to read, and you use it on your own responsibility. Um, and but we do not have, as long as it's not private data, where humans can be identified, we pretty much okay with the data being used, and we also support open data for research purposes. So yeah, as long as it does not individuals cannot be identified, we are fine with it.
Thank you so much. There are also a lot of thanks. Great webinar. Big thanks to Ina. Thank you so much, Ina, and thank you, colleagues, for joining, for asking your questions. I will email you Ina's slides. I'll ask Ina to send me her slides, and I'll email those slides to you. And we're also recording this session. So if you want to share this recording with your colleagues, you will also have a recording link. Thanks a lot, and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you, everyone, and looking forward to learn from you. And thank you, Arena. Have a nice day, everyone. Bye bye.